I'm Z Clark. I'm a mindfulness and breathwork teacher focused on helping people of color manage the challenges that we face because of what we look like. But let me tell you how I got here. I grew up in Washington, D.C. while my father was a student at Howard University. I grew up in a predominantly black, low-income neighborhood. I remember the joys of hearing the ice cream truck come around the corner. I remember backyard barbecues. I remember the sounds of go-go music and so much black love. I also remember the inequities around cocaine and crack. And I remember so many people in my neighborhood going to jail. I remember police sirens all the time, just constant background noise. That was my life at home, but during the day was completely different because I was at predominantly white institutions. I went to private school where I was usually the only black person, and I felt it. I remember death threats in my backpack in 6th grade. I remember guidance counselors telling me what I was not capable of. So I had to prove them wrong. And I got into Harvard, and I got a scholarship that made it happen. And I am so grateful for the education and the opportunities I was given. But it was also really challenging to be at a university that was built on the backs of enslaved people. A university whose huge endowment was based on the profits of the slave trade, the profits of plantations in the South. It was hard to be at a university that kept black bodies for race science. But I went back for my business school, got my MBA there, and then I was in corporate America. I was in financial services, I was a management consultant, and then I worked in tech in Silicon Valley, and during all these years, I was the only woman often, the only black person, and that came with a lot of challenges. Microaggressions, constantly. Being treated differently, watching my colleagues get promoted a lot faster than me, and all of this caused so much stress, and my body started to break down. I started to have emotional issues, mental issues, and they call that burnout. So I took a pause, and I went to India. I joked that I did the black girl version of Eat, Pray, Love. I was meditating, I was doing yoga, breath work, and suddenly I was able to feel better. Just a way of feeling that I had never, ever felt in my entire life. And that's when I realized that these tools were so much more impactful outside of the yoga studio and in the context of everyday life, especially when I experienced racism. And that's what I want to share with you here today.